everybody, I'm back. I thought I'd change up the pace and do something on the healthier side. So while I was panic shopping about a week and a half ago, I was thinking I need to have vegetables for my family to eat. And so I picked up a packet of these suckers. What do you guys think this is? Looks like a tiny baby cabbage. This is called a Brussels sprout, and it actually is in the same family as a cabbage. It's a cruciferous vegetable, same family as onions and broccoli and cauliflower and things like this. So they are very healthy, but I feel like they're underrated, and I feel like people don't buy them a lot. So I'm going to show you a quick recipe that is extremely tasty, and I promise you, even if you don't think you'll like Brussels sprouts, you might enjoy them this way. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the ends to clean them up a little bit, and if there's any, this one looks pretty good, but if there's any that have any leaves that are kind of dying, don't throw the whole thing away. Just pick off the outer layer of leaves until it looks good. If it looks bad throughout the whole thing, obviously you can toss it, but usually there's just like a few leaves on the outside that don't look so good, and then the rest is good. And for this recipe, you're going to cut them all in half. So clean them up and then cut them in half, okay? And then do that for all your Brussels sprouts. I'm using 1.5 pounds of Brussels sprouts. Okay, so I have all my Brussels sprouts cut in half. I've got my oven preheating to 425 degrees, and now I'm gonna make a simple glaze to coat my Brussels sprouts in before I roast them. So I need a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'm just gonna put it all in this giant bowl. And I need about 1/8 of a teaspoon of pepper. And I need a tablespoon each of olive oil. And of balsamic vinegar. And then I need about a teaspoon of honey. And I'm just gonna pour in what I think a teaspoon is, because honey is kind of sticky, and so it's hard to get out of your measuring spoons. Okay? Now, I just take my whisk and I'm just gonna whisk that up really quick. And then I'm just going to dump all my, even the little leaf bits, you don't want to toss those. Any of the leaves that fall off of your Brussels sprouts, get those in there, because those will toast up really nice and crunchy in the oven when you're baking it, and it'll add a nice texture difference to the rest of your Brussels sprouts. Okay? Then I'm just going to take a rubber spatula, kind of fold the glaze over all of the Brussels sprouts, trying to coat them as evenly as possible. Perfect. Then I've got a baking sheet and just a little bit of parchment paper. If you don't have parchment paper, you can use aluminum foil, or you could just spray your pan a little bit. I just like using parchment paper because it's easier to clean. And then you're just going to dump your Brussels sprouts and try to get them into a nice single layer on your baking sheet. This is a lot of Brussels sprouts, but I think we could do it. Now, that balsamic vinegar, I like to buy the aged balsamic vinegar, and it's slightly thickened, and it's really sweet and has a wonderful flavor. Now, if you don't want to spend too much money and you want to buy just some cheap balsamic vinegar, you can buy it, and if you want to reduce it, you can make like a cup of it, pour about a cup of it into a saucepan and just let it simmer. And that's how you reduce something. What you're doing is you're taking the water out of it. So the water is going to be evaporating out of your vinegar. So the actual volume of the vinegar will lessen, but it's just because the water is evaporating out. So those sugars in the vinegar will become sweeter and more more concentrated. Okay, so I'm just gonna pop this in my 425-degree oven for about 18 to 25 minutes. Okay, so the Brussels sprouts have been in there for about 22 minutes. In the last 5 minutes, I tasted one just to see the texture, and I added another, just a slight drizzle of balsamic vinegar all over the top of them. And as you can tell, some of the outside pieces are nice and crunchy and crispy. And let me get a fork. And this is how you tell if they're done. You can just stick your fork in there, and they're perfect. Okay, we're gonna plate them up. Okay, here they are in a bowl. And here's my son, who's gonna try a Brussels sprout for the very first time. We'll see what he thinks. Good? Hey, we got the thumbs up.